music. You know, true music, not just rock and roll. It chooses you. You know, it lives in your car or alone, listen to your headphones.
There used to be a way to stick it to the man. It was called rock and roll. Guess what? Oh, no. The man ruined that, too, with a little thing called MTV.
Don't talk to me about rock and roll. I'm not there in the clubs and on the streets, and I'm living it. I am rock and roll.
Did I listen to pop music because I was miserable? Or was I miserable because I listened to pop music?
I'm intentionally picking stuff that I'm like, you're going to hate this.
Yeah, you were right.
I was right. So the first album that I got you to listen to, it's called Clairvoyant. And it's by the Contortionist. And, I mean, I kind of gave away your review right away, but what did you think of it?
Oh, I hated it. Oh, it was horrible. I mean, had you not, like... Had this just been presented to me as like in my Apple Music suggested playlist, I would not have gotten through one song. I listened to the first four, and that was me pushing.
So what was it that you didn't like about it?
I don't, so much.
So much. Because I can understand if I'm being okay. So my experience with this band, I saw them, and they opened for Nothing More. I'd never heard them, never even heard of them. They're not really, I don't really get into the whole metal side of music. Yeah. And I have a hard time really, and maybe it's because I'm not into metal, but really, I guess, categorizing them as metal.
Yeah.
On Apple Music, if we're going with that, they're literally listed as heavy metal, but whatever.
Yeah, that was misleading.
Yeah, I think so. But when I saw them, I didn't like them. No. I was like, what is this? And I think part of that, like at the same point when I was watching them, I was like, there's something here that I do kind of like. It was either bits and pieces that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But what they did do, playing live, is you could definitely tell there was like a kind of an atmosphere that was created with their music versus just being a band that got up on stage and were like doing guitar throws and jumping all over the place and just had energy that way. But at the end of the night, I was with two other friends. We were in San Diego and just went to this show on a whim. And they were kind of like, that was horrible. And I was kind of keeping in the back of my mind, I was like, but I feel like there was something there. And so when I finally sat down and listened to them, the first song on Clairvoyant is like an instrumental track. And I won't lie, I pushed to get through at least the first half of that song. I was like, because it starts out really slow and just like, and then there's like some guitar bits that I'm like, okay, it's going somewhere. And then when it goes into the second song, I think it's called Godspeed, I really actually liked that song. I was like, oh, because then I was able to, it has like, it's up, I mean, as far as like music is concerned, it's upbeat, it's got some energy, and then the singer comes in, and his vocals I thought were so kind of unique, because a lot of times I feel like with metal or whatever, is like those vocals are either like growled or screamed or whatever, or just like this powerful vocalist, and he's keeping it very subdued. And I was like, I kind of liked that.
Yeah.
But...
Well, so when I first started listening to it, I saw it was metal. I was like, wow, I'm surprised you started with a metal band, because you don't normally suggest metal. No. And I actually like metal.
Yeah.
Like, certain types.
Right.
At least. And so, but the thing that threw me, the first song really was not a great start. It just is like, it's weird. I think... It's just, like, the best way I can describe it is the sound. It's like it was like a gross sound, and like...
Like, are you talking, like, that first track?
First track.
Yeah, when those when those, like, shots come in, and it's just, like, super heavy, down-tuned guitars, and it's like, bong!
I know.
It was like, same thing at first, I was like, I don't know, but then there's a guitar piece that comes in where it's, like, layered with a lot of delay and reverb, and I was like... Oh, this is so. Then I kind of started getting into that.
Yeah, I can tell they're technically like a good band.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can tell they're very talented. It's just it's talented in a weird way that I'm not tracking with. But I do understand that, because sometimes when I listen to bands live, I tend to like them more than if I just hear the recorded album.
Okay,
and that's what happened. Like when
that's like a reverse of what the experience I had, where I was like, I saw them live and I was kind of like, Now I feel like if I were to go see them live again, at least knowing some of their songs, you kind of look for those, and then. But go on.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe if I saw them live, I'd have a different appreciation. I've had that happen before, but that first song, yeah, it was weird, and I just was not enjoying it. And then I went to the second one, and I think that one was kind of similar. I liked it more when he started singing.
Yeah,
I did. Like, there was one song where it's like, okay, this isn't too bad. I can't remember. Maybe
I think it's probably the second song.
The second
because
song?
the second song it's quite a bit.
Yeah, Godspeed.
Yeah, it's quite a bit more energy to it, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like the first, after that instrumental like intro, the first two songs like Godspeed and the third song Reimagined or whatever, they're like shorter, almost like I was like, did they write those for radio? Because they're a fair bit shorter, and then all of a sudden their songs are all like, 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
it's like a 9-song album, and it's almost an hour long.
It almost seems to me like it's kind of like an experimental kind of like
and that
project.
I would be
metal
interested.
thing.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, I'd be interested to look in and just go, okay, like lyrically, are they telling a story? Because like the longer songs, I did notice there's a lot more like changes with I guess vibes in the song, whether it's a time signature change or whatever. Like, they do get a little more techie in kind of those longer songs. But I'd be interested to know, if like lyrically they're telling a story. Truth be told, when I've listened to this album, I have listened all the way through. But as far as like actually actively listening to the album, I don't make it past track 4 as well.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, I mean, that's a good... You listen to the first song, which is like 5.5 minutes long, and then you're a good almost like 20 minutes in at that point.
Yeah, I tapped out after 4.
And but I'm usually, when I kind of do that more active listening, I'm like lying in bed with headphones on, so I have a tendency to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And so like I know for sure though I have listened through the album, but just like that actual intentional, I'm making it past track 4 gets difficult too. But.
What I find with this style too, like even other metal that I do enjoy, like August Burns Red or
Right.
Memphis Mayfire, like heavier bands like that.
Yeah.
I love those bands, and I love listening to certain songs, but I can only do it for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then I almost have to just take a break because my brain just is like, it's too much of the same thing.
Yeah.
And then I listen to something a little more lighter, bouncy.
And that's how I judge.
That's my jam.
That's your jam. It's like, if it makes you bounce, that's how I judge anything that I'm like going to bring to you. I'm like, okay. Oh, this has some bounce. Jordan will like this, and then I'll
if it's pop punk and bouncy, I'm gonna like it.
You're in, and then other times I'll just be like, I'm going to recommend this because I know you're going to dislike it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to broaden your horizons because we
I
went
appreciate
to
that.
Well, we went to a show together, and I mean the show was Neck Deep, Seaway, Creeper, and Speak Low If You Speak Love. And I knew going into that show that you're like, Speak Low is not my thing, but you did specifically say. The first thing you said when it was done, you're like, that was actually better than I anticipated.
And that's my point. I listen to Speak Low, because you mentioned them before, and so I listened to them on Apple Music, and I did not like a single thing I heard.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, I find I appreciate it more when I actually watch them live.
Right.
I liked it a little. I did tell you, I was like, they're not so bad.
You know what, I would say there have been bands where not knowing a single thing about that band, blew me away. Like, for instance, that very same show where I saw the Contortionist went on second last before Nothing More. But the band that played right before them was a band called Big Story. I had never heard of them. They have a horrible name. They have horrible looking merch, right? Like, sorry to Big Story fans, but it's kind of like, it didn't fit. But when I heard them, I was like, I spent the entire set going, I really like these guys.
Yeah.
And the truth be told, I probably like them more live than on... Like, I bought their CD as we were leaving, which I don't do that very often. But I did. It was very effective game plan on their part. I went to look for a CD, and they had nothing. They just had these shirts with, like I said, like the kind of ugly merch, ugly logo. But as you were leaving, like, I couldn't find the CDs. The band members were kind of spread out, and they were like, get your Big Story CDs, $10 or whatever, right? And I was like, all right. So I bought one because I was looking for one. So I bought it, and it's definitely decent. Like, it's not bad. It's not normally my kind of music that I get into, but the vocalist of that band was just like, I think was what was stealing the show when I was watching. I was like, holy, like that guy could sing. And so that does happen on occasion. So it's funny, like, in that very same show, The very first, I forget the name of the first band. They were just like generic radio rock as you could get. And then there was Big Story, who blew me away. And then the Contortionist, who I was like left kind of going, huh? Yeah. And then Nothing More was, I knew some of their stuff going in, so I kind of had an idea. But like their show was fantastic. But there is the odd time where I hear something, and I'm like, I need to listen more, or at least more closely. And it's funny because I tried listening to the Contortionist, their album before, which I can't remember the name of it right now. And the first song I like better than the first song on this one, like on Clairvoyant. But as soon as it like gets into the second song, I'm like, oh, like they are. It seems to me, in my very little knowledge, which maybe this is bad for me to say, but they're kind of progressing in a direction where I feel like I would like them more. Yeah. Because there's something about the lead singer whose vocals I'm just like, I was so confused by him live because he just, not everyone needs to run around and jump around, but he literally stood facing sideways, and just like he had his mic on like a stand, and he was just like holding the mic, holding the stand, and just like singing into it. Then there would be parts where he wasn't singing, where it was like he was like trying to headbutt the microphone. That was the most movement you got out of him.
And I can picture that listening to this album.
Yeah, but it's funny because like in the album itself, the mix, the vocals are a little bit buried. Like they're definitely not in your face vocals. And so I think that was one of the things live that kind of, as someone not knowing any of their stuff, that sort of lost me, was like I can't really hear the vocalist too much. Yeah. And it's like the sound guy was expecting him to scream at any moment, so he was riding the levels a little bit. Didn't want that final scream to just like melt everyone's faces off. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, and you're the music guy. I mean, you're more musically inclined than I am, so I think you have a deeper appreciation for like the subtle things in that, like,
which might be fair.
Because there's like I just found some of the chord progressions and just like the song structure is just like, oh, well, this is not working for me.
You're like, I want my verse, my chorus, my verse, and my bridge. That's what I want.
I'm a simple man, and I like what I like.
I'm a simple man who likes simple plans.
Yeah. And this was just a weird adventure into.
It was.
Yeah.
So I think next time, for sure, you get to suggest the album.
Okay.
It'll be funny because I don't know if the whole purpose of this is like for me to try to convince you. Eventually, I think we'll talk about albums for sure that we both are just like, oh, I love this album. Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't always have to be like Clairvoyant just came out. I think it was last year, 2017, maybe 20. I'm not sure. It's fairly new.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can get into albums that are as old as we want. Really, like I don't want it to just be like, oh, did you hear this new stuff? And eventually, I'm sure we will both talk about albums that we both do like, but I just thought it'd be hilarious to start with this album. I'm like, I know Jordan is gonna hate this.
Oh, you were spot on. It was bad from the start. I didn't enjoy any of it.
I love that my first. So what did you think? I hated it.
I almost came out of my office and found you just to tell you.
This is a no-go. This is not making Jordan's playlist.
No, it's being deleted from my phone
as we speak. That's too good. It's funny because I even had it on last night when I was like, like lying in bed, and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to this because I went to bed somewhat early. I was like, I'm not really tired yet, so I can sit here and listen to this. But maybe the problem is that I was like laying down, so it's immediate. I'm just like, if I lay down and I'm watching a movie that I've been wanting to see I'll fall asleep.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's like track 4 comes on, and which is I think is the title track. I think it's Clairvoyant.
I don't know. I just deleted the album.
Yeah, that's fine. And every time I'm like, it may be because it's a longer song, so I just kind of like get into this spot where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fall asleep. There's not enough. Although they make changes in their songs, what we talked about, they kind of change things up. But I don't know. I like it, and I can't get past that song.
Yeah. well, I mean, I gave it a go, and
that's the whole point. It was just for you to try stuff because I know I've recommended a few things, and maybe we won't get into it right now because maybe eventually I will actually get your thoughts on it. But a couple of different artists, and you're just like, it's just too slow.
Too slow.
It's too slow.
Yeah. I like.
And now I'm assuming like, you're not just looking for music that's, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, you can't do that all the time. No. But it's like what I said, if you listen to metal, Like, I like metal, I like pop punk. That's basically what I listen to.
Yeah.
Like, you can hit one of those bands and I'll be good with it, but I can't listen to them all the time. Like, I need to switch it up,
Yeah.
you know, in between. So, and sometimes there's slower stuff that I like too, but
So you bust out the country.
no, never country, never
man,
country.
I've got an album that I may recommend
Oh
to you.
gosh.
If we're playing this game, I might have an album then. Because I'm if we're gonna get off track. Okay, wait. Before we get off track, if you were to, maybe we got to figure out some kind of ranking system.
Yeah.
Some kind of rating system. I mean,
If I were to rate this album, oh gosh. Well, you know what? I won't. I will give it a 2.5
out of what?
out of 10.
Okay,
Out of 10.
I was like, wait, what?
And because I know, like, these guys are obviously very skilled musicians, and yeah, like, I can't do what they did, but I just don't appreciate it.
That's fine. I mean, I guess if we're going,
What do you give them out of 10?
well, that's what I'm trying to think. Well, how about this? This album has 9 tracks on it,
yeah.
so let's rank it at a 9.
Okay.
So, because then that's going to be like, you could look at it and be like, okay, on average, I like this many songs on this album. It doesn't have to be fully like them.
Okay,
but
then
like,
I'll say 2.
Okay,
Two
so
out of
2
9.
out of 9. Okay, so I mean, I would probably.
I think I'm being generous too.
That's fair, and I don't think I'm going to be like that much more. It's not like I love this band. I maybe 5
Okay.
because
They pass in your book.
yeah, they put like I don't put it on and go, oh, what am I listening to? Let's start. I keep coming back to it and going, and maybe that'll go up or maybe that'll go down because I keep going back to it, going, I gotta listen to this. I want to because as soon as his vocals come in on Godspeed, I'm just like, oh, every time I'm like, right. This is because his melodies that he creates, I think, are kind of interesting. So I'll say 5 out of 9.
Okay.
But
So not the strongest start either, but
no.
but it's a pass in your book.
It's a pass. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll go with it. But I was going to say country because you said, oh,
Yeah.
that's not your thing. Country's not my thing either, but there is the odd time where I get into like a spot where I'm like, I just want to listen to some country.
Oh gosh,
Which is-
I've never said that sentence in my life.
Which is funny because, I mean, we're in Alberta. We're in, it's
know,
like the
it's
heart
everywhere.
of country.
country.
We're in country. But every now and then I do get surprised by something. So there's one album where, and again, I'm going to save it because I'm going to save it to recommend to you later.
Sure.
But an album that someone had recommended to me, and I put it on, and I could not stop listening to it. But in a similar fashion, which is maybe the tie-in here, a similar fashion to the Contortionist, I couldn't get past like track 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I tried, and
reached your limit.
I mean, I had a couple times, but it was like all of a sudden, this particular album hit a spot. But I'll save that for a recommendation because you're going to have to recommend the next album.
Okay, well, it's going to be a pop punk album. I
Oh,
can guarantee
it's going to
that.
be it's going to be so
It's
hard
going to be
for me
bouncy.
to listen to.
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
The funny thing is like I don't.
I like
think,
how you're just trying to find stuff I'll hate.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing because like I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, pop punk. Like, I mean, so you like the bouncy pop punk. So and this is where we will differ a little bit. So you're talking about artists like, I mean, a big one that's come up, which is a funny story to me, is Rome, that you like. I guess, let's say, following the Seaway is another one I know that you like, but following the branch of, if we were to make a pop punk tree, these kind of bands in my mind follow the branch of like a Newfound Glory, if that's fair.
Yeah.
And then you've got another branch that would be more like, let's say, Blink 182, and then another branch that's maybe like, I don't know, Get Up Kids, which they kind of got away from pop punk though. They're always kind of more of an emo band, anyways. But so you like those bands where like everyone just pogos the whole time?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those are winners.
By the way, the funny story for Rome is, you know this story obviously, but for anyone who might be listening, is that we were sitting down. I don't remember how this happened. We were sitting down in your office talking one day.
Well, you always come into my office and have music suggestions,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, most of the time they're winners.
Because I come in going,
Yeah.
I'll just like, I've definitely come in to your office and been like, "Oh, I have your new favorite band that's named after a horrible fashion trend in the 90s." And you're like, "Who's that?" Like, Mom Jeans. Like, you're not going to like them, but this is my recommendation for you. But we were sitting down talking about something, I know, and then I brought up the band Rome because... Now, the funny thing is, I think I think I'd actually confused Rome with someone else, who I was like, there's this band that I tried listening to, I think it was Rome, and I just didn't really like it, and then we looked them up, and I was like, oh no, it wasn't Rome, because then like, I think the band I was thinking of was Citizen, if I figured it all out, but Rome ended up being, like this bouncy pop punk band, and I recommended something to you like 2 weeks later, and you're like, man, you got to check out the new album by Rome. I was like, dude, I was in your office when I told you about them.
So what happened is, you suggest that I download it and forget that even happens, and then I stumble upon it a couple weeks later.
Oh, this is great.
Because I do the same thing too, right? Even with my Apple suggested music, I'll just, if I like it, I'll just add it. Yeah. And I guess I just finally got around to listening to the album, and then you're always suggesting bands to me. I was like, oh, I know David's going to like this one. So then I was like, oh, you got to check out this band, Rome. You're like, that was me. I suggested that to you.
The other funny one, which I think this one was even better, is because it was a band that I actually liked and suggested to you. But again, as I came into your office, and it was the day I found out, that Wonder Years, I got tickets to go see the Wonder Years, and opening for them is Tiny Moving Parts.
Oh, yeah. That was the other one.
So I told them about you then. You're like, oh, I actually kind of like this. And so you added it, which was surprising to me because I'm like, they're not bouncy pop punk at all. They're like stereotypical like emo math sort of stuff, but you're into it, sure. And then, a couple weeks later, you like came to my office. You're like, oh, I got this band I got to tell you about. I think you'll really like them. I forget the name of them right now, but, I think you're off to a meeting or something. He's like, but I'll tell you, I'll text it to you. And then so like a couple hours later, I texted you. You never told me about that band. And he's like, so you like walk over. He's like, oh, it's this band. Opens up Apple Music. This band called Tiny Moving Parts. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
It's the same thing, yeah.
Because
I had forgotten about it. That's how it worked. My phone is just full of music that I just along the way I just add. And
that'll be an episode.
That's what Apple Music has done.
Oh, I know.
It's totally changed.
Not just Apple Music, but like online streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play or whatever, Google Music. But one day, what we will do, because my Apple Music is the exact same way. Yeah. It's just full of stuff that I'm like, I've never listened to this. One day I'm just going to like scroll through or something and then stop it and pick an album and be like, we are going to listen to this album and talk about it. And it could be great. It could be horrible. Yeah, That's the way it's going to go. It'll just be like the random discovery, and then you can do that too sometimes. Like, I added these guys at some point for some reason. I have no idea why.
I know. I have so much.
I never feel like I appreciate anything because I can add it, and then if it catches me right away, I'll probably keep coming back to it. But if it's like, oh yeah, this is good, I'm going to forget all about it, and then it's just going to go, and my collection is just going to, grow.
I do find that as well. You don't maybe necessarily appreciate it as much now that it's just so readily available.
So we'll do that sometimes. I think it would be fun to do like random episodes that are maybe similar to this in the sense where it's like convince me, where it's like tell me why I should like these guys.
Right.
Like this was just a pure. I know you're going to dislike this band.
Yeah, you were right. You were right.
Yeah. I think we could do episodes where it's just like album versus album, where we each select an album and try to, and maybe that'll be like those episodes where we just randomly scroll through. We each pick a random album, and maybe it happens. Like you could scroll through and be like, oh, I got, like Newfound Glory's self-titled album just because it's random. Yeah. It's like, that's fine. And then, I could get some, like, complete band that's, like, out of left field, like a bluegrass band or something. It's like, this is going to be tricky. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to win this one.
Yeah. The odds are stacked against you.
Yeah, I'd say. But, so we'll do that. We'll figure it out. It's just going to be a couple guys talking about music. Every now and then I might kick you out of here. Yep. And I might bring other people on.
That's fair. That's fine.
I don't know. We'll just let it be what it is.
Yeah, man.